Imagine for a moment you're running a massive, bustling e-commerce site, or maybe a popular streaming service that millions rely on daily. Ever wondered how developers keep all those, intricate moving parts humming smoothly,
Oh, yeah.
preventing those frustrating slowdowns or, worse, outright crashes?
Yeah.
It must be a huge operational challenge.
It absolutely is.
Understand?
Think about the sheer volume of transactions, the constant stream of data, all those interconnected services needing to talk to each other perfectly.
Right.
Without the right tools, it's like trying to navigate in thick fog, basically blind to what's really happening inside your application.
And that's exactly where our deep dive takes us today,
Yeah.
into Spring Boot Actuator.
Yeah.
This isn't just some convenient add-on. It's really a foundational piece within the Spring Boot framework.
Mm-hmm.
And it's specifically engineered to give you those crucial real-time insights and, importantly, management capabilities for your application.
Yeah. So our mission today is really to unpack Spring Boot Actuator. We want to go beyond just listing features and actually understand its strategic importance, its role in modern software today, and the real-world impact it has.
Yeah, the impact on stability and performance of apps you probably use every single day.
Exactly.
Okay, so to give everyone a clear picture, let's use an analogy from our sources. Think of Spring Boot Actuator like the dashboard in a high-performance car.
Okay.
You wouldn't drive without knowing your speed or fuel levels or seeing if an engine warning light is flashing.
Yeah,
Right?
definitely not.
Well, Actuator provides that same kind of critical visibility for your application. It lets you monitor health, performance, operations without needing to be a mechanic, digging under the hood constantly.
That's a great analogy. It's about keeping things running smoothly and spotting problems before they become disasters. Because at its heart, Spring Boot Actuator is essentially a set of built-in features. Features that let developers monitor and manage their applications in real time. It pulls back the curtain on what's happening inside.
And these insights, they come through something called endpoints, right?
All right, endpoints.
These aren't just like random technical URLs, are they? They're more like strategic viewpoints.
Think of them as command centers, maybe. Each one offers a unique window into your application's vital signs. So instead of wading through massive cryptic log files,
Yeah, the worst.
you can just hit a simple web address and get a clear, concise snapshot of what's happening right now.
Okay, so the power comes from the different kinds of information these endpoints give you.
Precisely. Take the health check endpoint, for example. Health. It tells you instantly if your app is fundamentally working or if there's a critical issue like a database connection suddenly dropping.
So it's like the app's heartbeat monitor.
Exactly that. Your app's heartbeat monitor.
Got it. So if your app is like that busy restaurant we mentioned earlier, this tells you if the kitchen lights are even on.
Yeah, pretty much. Then you have metrics, the metrics endpoint.
Okay.
And these go way beyond just, say, simple user counts. They reveal the real performance picture, maybe bottlenecks.
Like what specifically?
Well, imagine discovering that a particular database query is suddenly taking, 500 milliseconds instead of the usual 50. Actuator's metrics can pinpoint that quickly.
So you can optimize before users start complaining about slowness.
Exactly. It's the pulse of your app's user experience, really.
Okay, what else?
Then there are configuration insights, config props or NV. These basically show your application's settings.
Which sounds simple, but why is that valuable?
It's invaluable for checking which environment you're running in. Is this the test server or is it live in production? Uh-oh.
Right. That transparency avoids a lot of potential headaches, I bet.
Huge headaches. And what's really powerful is logging management, the logger's endpoint.
Oh, this sounds useful.
It is. Developers can view or even dynamically adjust logging levels on the fly.
On the fly, without restarting the app.
Without restarting the app. That means you can troubleshoot issues without that whole time-consuming redeploy cycle. It's a massive agility gain, especially when downtime costs real money.
Wow. Okay.
And of course, it offers basic application information via info. Things like the app's version number, maybe build details, dependencies.
Seems basic, but I guess essential for maintenance.
Absolutely. For tracking deployments, ensuring compatibility, understanding exactly what version is out there.
Makes sense. And you mentioned one more, auditing.
Right, auditing and tracing. Endpoints like audit events or HTTP trace. Think of this as your application's detailed diary.
Okay.
It logs important events, not just that someone logged in, but when, perhaps from where, and what critical actions they took, maybe updating a profile, initiating a transaction.
So this isn't just for fixing bugs. It's also for security.
Definitely. It's crucial for security compliance and for piecing together what happened if there is an incident or a breach.
Okay, so Actuator provides all these useful endpoints. How does it actually do that under the hood?
Well, it's pretty clever. It essentially just adds these diagnostic and management tools directly into your existing Spring Boot application when you include the dependency.
It integrates itself.
Yeah, it integrates deeply to expose all this vital information through those endpoints we talked about.
So endpoints like health or metrics, they're basically just special web pages or APIs that give you that instant access.
Exactly. You might hit health in your browser and just see a simple UP status if everything's okay.
Cool.
Or if something's wrong, it might tell you which specific component is down, like maybe your connection to the payment gateway.
And metrics would show things like memory usage.
Memory usage, CPU utilization, request latency, all that granular stuff, often in real time or near real time.
And the best part seems to be how easy it sounds to set up.
That's the real elegance, yeah. When you include Actuator in your Spring Boot app, it automatically configures and sets up these standard endpoints based on your application and its dependencies.
So developers don't need to build all this monitoring infrastructure from scratch.
Nope. Actuator does the heavy lifting. Saves developers countless hours, honestly.
Okay, so as a developer, or maybe an ops person, how do I actually get this information out?
Several ways. You can access many endpoints directly in a web browser, which is great for quick checks.
Simple enough.
Or you can use API tools like Postman for more detailed inspection or scripting, and critically, you integrate them into automated monitoring systems.
Right, so like typing http.yourpactuatorhealth in my browser just works.
Usually, yes. It might just return that simple UP status if things are healthy, simple, and effective.
But wait, this sounds like it could expose a lot of internal information. What about security?
Ah, you hit a crucial point. Security is paramount. Because these endpoints do expose potentially sensitive operational details, developers absolutely must configure and secure them properly.
How do you do that?
Actuator is flexible. You can choose which endpoints to enable or disable entirely. You can and should protect them with security configurations, like requiring authentication and authorization.
So only specific users or systems can access them.
Exactly. You can even customize what information specific endpoints expose. But restricting access is non-negotiable. You wouldn't leave your car's diagnostic port wide open, right?
Good point. And you mentioned integration with other tools.
Yes, and this is really powerful. Actuator integrates beautifully with standard enterprise-grade monitoring tools. Think Prometheus, Grafana, Datadog.
Okay, I've heard of Prometheus and Grafana. How does that work?
Well, Prometheus, for instance, can scrape the Prometheus endpoint that Actuator provides. It pulls all those metrics, CPU, memory, request counts, whatever you've configured.
And stores them over time.
Right, as time series data. Then a tool like Grafana can connect to Prometheus and turn that raw data into insightful dashboards, graphs, gauges, alerts.
Ah, so you can visualize trends, spot anomalies, get notified automatically if something breaks.
Precisely. Like if error rates suddenly spike, or a server's memory usage goes through the roof, it lets you be proactive, not reactive.
Okay, this sounds incredibly useful. Why did it become so indispensable? What were the big problems it solved?
Oh, the before times were often quite painful. It really comes down to solving some very real, very common challenges developers faced.
Like what? It sounds like flying blind sometimes.
That's a good way to put it. Before tools like Actuator became common, there was often a serious lack of visibility. Developers had very little insight into an application's internal state while it was running.
So you just hope for the best.
Kind of. Or you relied on digging through mountains of log files, maybe writing custom, often brittle health check scripts just to see if basic things were working.
Which I imagine led directly to really slow troubleshooting.
Agonizingly slow sometimes. If something went wrong, a server crashed, a database connection failed, finding the root cause could take hours, even days. There was no central place to quickly check health or diagnose errors. I remember some late nights.
Oh, I bet. Just scrolling through endless logs.
Exactly, just hoping to spot the right error message. Actuator endpoints like health or metrics or loggers just eliminate so much of that guesswork.
And maintenance must have been harder, too.
Yeah, complex maintenance. If you needed to adjust something simple like turning up logging detail to debug an issue, it often meant changing code, rebuilding, redeploying, restarting the whole application.
Which introduces its own risks and delays.
Significant delays and risks, yeah. Especially in production.
Which brings us to production challenges. Monitoring live apps serving potentially millions of users. That's high stakes.
Extremely high stakes. Building robust custom monitoring for production used to be incredibly complex, expensive, and frankly, often unreliable. Teams spent huge effort just building basic monitoring.
And as apps grew,
Scalability issues became a nightmare, especially with microservices starting to emerge. Trying to monitor and manage dozens or hundreds of distributed services without standardized tools? Chaos. Absolute chaos.
and I guess trying to expose internal details from monitoring could create security holes.
That was a constant worry. Security risks. You needed visibility, but opening things up could accidentally reveal sensitive configuration, internal pathways, things you definitely didn't want exposed. It was a real tightrope walk.
Okay, so Actuator steps in as the hero. How does it specifically solve these problems? What are the core benefits?
It fundamentally changes the game. First, it provides that instant visibility. Endpoints like health, metrics, info give you immediate, actionable insights. No more flying blind.
Cuts down on the S work.
Massively, which directly speeds up troubleshooting. Tools like loggers to adjust logging on the fly or HTTP trace to see recent requests help pinpoint issues with incredible speed. Downtime is drastically reduced.
And the maintenance aspect.
It absolutely simplifies maintenance. Being able to make dynamic changes like adjusting those logging levels without a restart, that's a huge win for agility. Less risk, faster fixes.
Makes sense.
And crucially, it helps make applications truly production ready. It embeds essential features like metrics, health checks, and auditing right from the start. Think about a big e-commerce site using it to track active user sessions during a sale.
Ensuring they can handle the load.
Exactly, making sure things scale smoothly during peak times like Black Friday.
Is it hard to learn, though? Especially for newer developers.
Actually, that's another benefit. It's surprisingly developer-friendly, especially if you already know Spring Boot.
Oh.
Yeah, because it's built right into the framework. The setup is minimal. You add one dependency, maybe a little configuration, and bam, you have powerful, standardized monitoring tools.
Nice. Low barrier to entry.
Very. And finally, as we touched on, it integrates seamlessly with modern tools. Prometheus, Grafana, cloud platforms like AWS CloudWatch. It fits perfectly into modern DevOps workflows and tech stacks.
Okay, so that connects to why it's so important now, right? Here in 2025, what's changed in the landscape to make it even more critical?
Well, the biggest driver is undoubtedly the rise of cloud and microservices. It's how most modern software is built and deployed now.
On AWS, Azure, Google Cloud.
Exactly. And applications are often broken down into dozens, even hundreds, of small, independent microservices. Trying to monitor and manage that kind of distributed system without something like Actuator, well, it's practically impossible.
It brings order to the chaos.
It really does. It gives you visibility into each individual service, like that critical payment microservice in an online store, ensuring the whole system stays healthy.
And the need for speed and uptime hasn't gone away.
If anything, it's intensified. The need for real-time monitoring is huge. Apps serving millions, like streaming platforms or social media, they can't afford downtime.
Users notice immediately.
Instantly. Lost revenue, damaged reputation. Actuator's real-time endpoints help teams spot and fix issues before users are impacted. It's about proactive maintenance.
And security concerns are always growing too.
Absolutely. Growing cybersecurity demands are a constant pressure. Actuator helps here too. Its detailed insights and audit trails can help detect suspicious activity or anomalies.
And things like GDPR or PCI DSS compliance.
Exactly. Having secure, auditable monitoring aligns perfectly with those kinds of stringent regulations for handling user data or financial transactions.
Businesses also want to move faster than ever.
Right. Rapid development and deployment. Actuator supports this directly. By providing essential monitoring tools out of the box, it saves teams from building custom solutions, letting them focus on shipping features faster.
So a startup can get production-level monitoring quickly.
Yes, exactly. They can ensure their new app runs smoothly from day one as they scale up without a huge upfront investment in monitoring infrastructure.
And ultimately, it's about the end-user experience.
It always comes back to that, user expectations for unwavering reliability. We all expect apps to be fast, responsive, available 24/7.
No patience for errors or slow loading times.
None. Actuator helps meet these expectations by constantly watching performance, alerting developers to subtle problems like a slowly degrading database query, long before users even notice.
So it keeps things smooth behind the scenes.
That's the goal. For a global streaming service, it means videos load quickly, reliably for everyone, everywhere.
And what about the developers themselves? How does this impact their work and maybe even the job market?
It has a really positive impact on developer productivity. By handling the basics of monitoring, Actuator frees up developers to focus on more creative, value-adding work, building new features, improving the user experience.
Less time fighting fires, more time innovating.
Precisely. And because Spring Boot is so widely used by companies large and small, from startups to giants, like, say, Netflix, Skills, and Actuator are definitely in demand.
So knowing Actuator is good for roles in backend development, DevOps.
Development, back-end engineering, DevOps, SRE, absolutely. It's a core part of building and operating modern Java applications.
Can you give some more concrete, real-world examples of its impact?
Sure. Think about e-commerce. Companies like Amazon or similar large retailers rely heavily on tools like Actuator to monitor their massive network of microservices
Ensuring search works, payments go through.
flawlessly, especially during peak times like holidays or Black Friday, where even a few minutes of downtime can mean millions in lost sales.
And streaming services. You mentioned Netflix.
Yeah, Netflix is a prime example. They famously run thousands of microservices. Tools similar to actuators are absolutely essential for them to track service health globally and prevent those dreaded buffering screens.
Makes sense. What about finance?
Banks and financial institutions use Actuator or similar tools extensively to monitor critical transaction systems. They need high performance, security, and compliance, and Actuator provides key insights for all three.
It's not just for the giants, though.
Not at all. Even startups benefit hugely. Imagine a small team building a new mobile app. They can use Actuator right away to check if their database is up, if their connection to a third-party API is healthy.
Giving them enterprise-level insights without the complexity.
Exactly. It ensures a smooth user experience from launch, which is critical for a new product trying to gain traction. It really levels the playing field.
So for listeners who are maybe newer developers or want to get into this, Actuator seems like a really valuable thing to learn.
Incredibly valuable and quite approachable too, especially if you're already using Spring Boot.
Okay, so if someone wants to take the next step, what should they do? Our sources had some ideas.
Yeah, first, make sure you've got a decent handle on Spring Boot basics. Maybe build a simple REST API or web app first.
Get the fundamentals down.
Right. Then a dive into specific tutorials. The official Spring documentation at spring.io is excellent, and sites like Bildung have great detailed guides on Actuator.
Focus on the common endpoints,
Yeah.
like health, metrics.
Exactly. Health, metrics, info, loggers. Understand what they do and how to configure them.
And then practice, right? Build something.
Definitely. Build a simple application, maybe that to-do list app everyone starts with, and integrate Actuator. Then play around with it. See how the endpoints change when the app is running, when you introduce errors, when you change configuration.
Get hands-on experience.
Absolutely. And use tools like the Spring Initializer at start.spring.io.
Ah, the project generator.
Yeah, it makes setting up a new Spring Boot project super easy, and you can just check the box to include the Actuator dependency right from the start. It removes that initial friction.
Good tip. What about getting help or learning from others?
Engage with the community. Stack Overflow is obviously a great resource for specific questions. Reddit has active Spring communities like Spring Boot.
Ask questions, see what others are doing.
Yeah, or even look at open source projects using Spring Boot and Actuator. See how they configure and use it in real-world scenarios. Learning from others is huge.
Okay, so wrapping up then. Spring Boot Actuator. It really is a vital piece of the puzzle for modern applications.
It truly is. It provides those invaluable real-time insights into application health, performance, operations. Basically everything you need to know to keep things running smoothly.
And it solves those critical historical problems, lack of visibility, slow troubleshooting, complex maintenance, makes apps genuinely production ready.
And resilient in today's demanding digital world.
Especially now in 2025 with cloud, microservices, the constant push for speed, reliability, security.
Yeah.
Its importance just keeps growing.
For sure. But what's really fascinating, I think, is how Actuator allows developers to shift their focus.
How so?
Well, by automating and simplifying these essential, but let's be honest, sometimes mundane monitoring tasks, it frees up developers. They can think less about reactive firefighting.
And more about
More about building cool, innovative features, things that actually delight users and drive the business forward. Which leads to an interesting question for you, the listener. If the health and performance of your application become almost ambiently visible, easily manageable, what grand new possibilities does that open up? What can you now build for your users when you're not constantly worried about just keeping the lights on?